Welcome to the Zag Talk Podcast Live. My name is Guy Danoff, and tonight I'm going to be going behind the scenes with two solo artists. One is Asha Blaine from Denver-based area, and the other is Charlie Wehde, who we'll bring on in a little while. But right now, what I'd like to do is just welcome everyone to the podcast. Just want to say thank you for being here. And in case you're not familiar with my podcast, it's real simple. Our goal is to live stream very engaging content through very interesting topics. Tonight, we're going to be doing kind of a special interest, going behind the scenes of what it's like being a solo artist / musician in 2023. And we've got people at the beginnings of their career, kind of like I would say at the midpoint of their career. And so tonight's going to be kind of interesting on the things that we're going to talk about. Certainly going to have some interviews with some that hopefully will resonate with you and certainly give you some insights of what it's like being a working musician today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Guy Danoff, and I'm a digital media strategist. I'm also a college professor. I've authored 2 books and currently authoring a 3rd right now. I happen to be an advocacy president in the area of health and physical education. Also, I'm a mental health advocate. I'm a sport broadcaster for football. And last but not least, you'll learn this tonight, I'm also a blues rocker. So with that being said, I'm just really glad that you're all here. And I want to bring in our first guest. And our first guest comes all the way from Denver, Colorado. And that is Asha Blaine. Asha, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you, Guy?
I'm having a blast tonight because we got 2 guests on. You're going to have you on all night. We're also going to have Charlie Wehde on. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so what I'd like to, let our audience know is that you're a solo artist, a singer, songwriter, as you just released your first solo release this past week, and you're also a YouTuber. And I was kind of wondering, how do you kind of put all that into perspective? Because it seems like there's a lot of things that you do.
Okay, so something I told myself a couple of years ago was I really wanted to write music full time and I really want to do YouTube and be creative full time. So I thought to myself, how do I do this? How do I make it to where I have the time? Because a 9-to-5 job Monday through Friday was not feasible for me because I didn't have any time afterwards to do anything. I was totally mentally exhausted. And so I thought to myself, if I do gigs, if I can do solo gigs and make a lot of money doing that, and only work once or twice a week, and I'm good that week, then I can spend my Monday through Friday being creative. So that's how I'm able to wear all the hats, is I try to maximize and capitalize on the gigs that I do and demand more money that way rather than doing the Monday through Friday. I would be considered minimum wage. So that's how I do it. That's how I've planned it out.
Yeah, we're going to unpack that a lot for our audience. And again, like I said, I kind of introduced you as you're kind of like mid in your career, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're definitely not at the end of your career by any stretch. I mean, you've been doing this now full time for 6 years, ever since you moved to Denver. And I think it's going to be really cool. But what I think I want our audience to know next is talk to us about your musical influences, because I'm going to use the word eclectic. You seem pretty eclectic with your musical influences. So why don't you share with our audience a little bit about your musical influences and background?
Yeah, so my influences right now in terms of writing would be like Linkin Park instrumentally. I really like the heaviness of it. I really like the contrast in the subdued, vulnerable vocal stylings, and then his crazy, chorus melodies that he creates as well. Evanescence is an influence right now in terms of songwriting and how I want to structure songs, how I want my guitars to sound, and also a little bit vocally. But vocal influences, I would have to say, are definitely a lot come from 70s classic rock. So Ann Wilson is one of them. Robert Plant, his riffing, that's
Sure.
one of them. Aerosmith. I really like his stuff too. It's great. There's so many. It just depends on the season that I'm in. Acoustically, my influences are based around how the song is structured, actually, and if I can hit that person's range. So I do like Adele, Gnarls Barkley, which you have a video of.
Yeah.
There's just so many right now. Such a very wide question.
So what I think we'll do is we're gonna go ahead and you know what was nice is I appreciated you give me a few clips that we could play so our audience can hear. So what I like to do now is I'm gonna switch over and we'll give them a chance to hear this track. And this is taking it but definitely back to the 70s. This is a Pink Floyd cover. And this is, I'll be honest with you, these are some of the biggest vocals I think you can possibly try singing, especially from that era. And this is The Great Gig in the Sky. Asha Blaine. Wow, that's all I'm gonna say. Wow, I've heard that song played live at least a dozen times in my lifetime. And I gotta tell you, when I saw that on your YouTube channel and just hearing you riffing like that, actually, as you know, they use 3 folks to do it. You're doing it all by yourself, which is just really amazing, to do that. I just want to take a quick break. Hey, if you're on live right now, you can actually ask Asha any questions you like or make comments right there in the comments area. So feel free. We'll actually post your questions or anything you want to say or you want to ask her. Feel free to jump right there, in the comments area of YouTube. We'll be happy to put it on the broadcast for you. So getting back, Asha, what went through your mind as you prepared to sing a song like that, like obviously the entire world knows?
Well, first of all, that was one of the very first songs that I had learned when I was 18 years old, because I was a part of a rock group in my college. It was like for a grade, and that was one of the songs that they asked me to sing. And so I spent probably like a good month probably studying that entire riff. So
Wow.
now it's locked in my head. I can't.
Right.
I don't trip up on the riff because I know it. So when I did my YouTube, I was like, oh my gosh, I really want to try this song again. I really want to see if I remember it and know it. And also, in my opinion, it's one of the most that song pulls at your heart and pulls your soul.
Yep.
When you listen to it, but also when you perform it, it does the same thing. You just feel every single note. You feel every single emotion that is like she is putting into that song. So it's really fun for me to emulate the emotional part of what they're expressing there, and I can take that on and like feel it. So yeah,
absolutely. So one of the other things I'm really excited to showcase is you've basically been playing guitar since COVID. Is that right? So both acoustic and electric?
Yeah, I learned acoustic first two years ago in COVID, and then maybe a year later I started taking on electric. So only a year of electric.
So this is pretty amazing. Talk to us about the next clip called Crazy. As I'll be honest with you, your acoustic playing for that, and you got the vibe just down pat. Talk to us a little bit about that clip.
Yeah, that was probably a year into my playing that I made that. And this song I actually made to promote myself as a solo artist so that people could see what exactly I'm doing, how I sound. And this was done, the vocals were done in one take. So I wanted to be true to that vocal. But yeah, it's not a terribly hard song in terms of chord structure. It's a very same 4 chords pretty much the whole time. That's how I first learned, was picking up easy songs in terms of chord structure. And I love Gnarls Barkley's voice, so that's why I chose this one.
All right, well, here's the clip. Again, this is Asha Blaine.
ever since I was little, it looked like fun. And it's no coincidence I've come, and I can die when I'm done. Or maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm crazy, maybe we're crazy, probably, yeah, maybe I'm crazy.
It sounds awesome. Again, you look so comfortable with it. No one, I don't think anyone would ever know that you'd only been playing acoustic guitar for about a year.
Yeah, I started doing just acoustic and vocals when I first started playing, and I did not like that because it required me to sing quieter, and I don't like to do that.
Sure.
So the reason I added the kick and the tambourine, a more percussive vibe, is because it allows me to be more explosive in my vocals and be more dynamic that way. So it's just more fun for me too when I can get into the music.
Absolutely. So the next question I want to ask you is,
Yeah.
you know, all I can say is anyone who's ever been a musician, a solo artist, or been part of a band at some point in your life, whether it was high school, college, or whenever, you know, today in 2023, it's so different than even like when I used to do this really about 20, 25, between 20 and 27 years ago. You know, I was an 80s rocker guy, then got into the blues scene. But talk to us about the grit and the grind of being a solo artist today. What's it like?
That's a very loaded question. There's a lot of things that go in to the grit and grind of it. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I just randomly during COVID was like, oh, I can't play with a band because of the whole 6-foot distance thing, but venues were still allowing solo artists because I'm separate from everybody. So I was like, well, I still want to do music. I don't want to have to go to like a real job. So so then I taught myself how to play all these different songs, and I told myself like I need to play at least once or twice a week to make the money I need to make, and that will be fine. But then I started to make videos like this one and
Yep.
promote them on my Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. And pretty soon I have all these people reaching out to me. Will you play at this bar? Will you play at that bar? This venue? Will you play at my birthday party? Blah, blah, blah. So I never needed to use a manager because like a promoter, because you have to like actually pay a little bit for that
Correct.
management to get you gigs.
Yep.
So now not only do I hustle on the weekends, but what I do at home, I'm actually doing a lot of work at home too, like creating the videos, practicing, and then putting them up on Facebook and putting them out to different venues and say, hey, I can do this.
Right.
And a lot of them will contact me. So much of the grit and grind in the first year was me just learning all this music and getting as good as I could at it. Then
Right.
the second year is now maintaining the gigs and to keep the inflow coming.
Right.
And once you do that, you create this snowball effect and things start coming to you way more often. So I was able to do this in a matter of 2 years, and it was not easy at first. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like it was just a bed
Right.
of roses. It was not. It was not. It was so hard. So many tears that I cried because it was such a new thing to me. The acoustic thing was so new, and being by myself was such a challenge. And another part of the grit and grind is not just the work you put out, but your mind, like what you go through in your mind when
Right.
you are doing this. You have to be motivated, you have to be determined, and you some days there you feel like you want to maybe quit or like maybe I should just go do this job again. But no, you get better, you see the snowball getting bigger, and you're like, okay,
Right.
I'm not giving this up. You just keep going. You get better, you learn as you go, you get smarter. yeah, so that's my grind.
No, it's look, I think people need to know,
Yeah.
everyone has a starting point, and as you
Mhm.
go, like you said, you keep building up your catalog, right?
Yeah.
Your body of work, certainly your influence, as
Mhm.
well as, you build your fan base, which is so much easier today than ever before to keep in contact with them because you've got all these different things
Mhm.
related to social media or, that you can utilize very easily. So speaking of that, let's go to my next question. And that is this: how do you manage? And I understand you're beginning to monetize your social media. So how do you do that?
How do I manage my social media? Well, I realize that if I want to get work, that means I have to put content out,
Hmm.
quality content out, um, like pretty much every single day. And I'm getting better at this. I'm uploading more content every day, like several times a day. Before it was just like, yeah, I'll just do a video a week and I'll post my schedule. Now I have, a monthly schedule that comes
Right.
out. I say the week that I'm gigging, I write, at the beginning of the week or close to my gigs, like these are my gig dates and times this week, come check me out, whatever. Um, and it's crazy because I've built a following and I've built a fan base that like people actually come to see me. And I'm like, oh wow. I didn't, there's things that you don't expect or you see and you're like, wow, this is really happening. I'm really creating this. It's very cool. Um, so I mean I would say to monetize. So I'm to the point on YouTube where I've created enough of a catalog where I'm getting to a point where I can make money and monetize. So if you subscribe to my channel, you will help me actually monetize, which
Hmm.
means help me make money in another way so that I don't have to go to the dreaded real job for me. Um, and you can support me this way. And that would just be so awesome. So make sure you give it a like and a subscribe. And if there's a video that you see that you really like, share it with your friends on Facebook, on social media. Yeah, so on my YouTube, I upload original music, cover music, and now I'm starting to upload like unboxing videos of like music gear and stuff like that. So if you like that, stay tuned for that as well. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, I was again. I don't think a lot of folks know how this works today, especially with social media. Just so everyone knows, to qualify for the YouTube Partner Program,
Yeah.
is that you have to have 1,000 subscribers. And again, it doesn't cost you, or like, for example, I remember when I first met you, I subscribed and I hit the notification bell so that every time you did get a release, I'd get an instant notification so I could click it whenever I wanted to watch it. That was
Yeah.
convenient. And then if I liked your stuff, I'd, give it a like or maybe even make some comments. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's really easy to do, but I know it's hard for a lot of people to believe, but believe it or not, artists can do pretty well on their YouTube channels today. Also, even on YouTube Shorts, which is a newer platform, short form video content, but you can
Mhm.
also monetize that. So there's a lot of different ways that artists can actually bring in revenue streams. And one of those ways is certainly through obviously the partnership that YouTube offers.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would love the subscribes, you guys. I would
Well,
love
you're
it.
close. Yeah. So
I'm so close. I'm so close.
you're very close to that. So with that, another way that artists, not, you can get paid, or in some cases it's just through product. But talk to us about what it's like getting an endorsement, because I understand just not that long ago you became an endorser, an artist endorsement for JBE Pickups, which is it's a company that's very high end, makes the quietest pickups I think I've ever heard. And
Mhm.
when we take our little station identification break, obviously they've sponsored today's podcast, but talk to us what that's been like, and certainly some of the reaction, because I think sometimes
Uh,
people don't realize specifically why you have an endorsement, because you're not like perceived as like, some hardcore lead player shredder,
yeah.
those kind of people. But JBE sees you in a different light. And maybe you can talk to us about that.
Yeah. So I just got picked up as an artist on JBE. pickups. And it was a surprise to me too, because I'm like, don't you want shredder type of people? And I'm not a shredder. I play the electric, I play mostly rhythm. Um, but I think that they saw me because they see that I'm putting out content. They see that I'm putting out content online regularly with my Ibanez guitar, and so they reached out to me. And I had a couple of people, they messaged me, and they're guitar players, and they're like, how did you get this deal, and I said, you just have to put it out there. And if they find interest in you because you're good at putting up social media, it's not just about grinding in music.
Right.
It's about grinding on your brand and grinding on your social media. You have to put it out there to let people know, I am here for your business and your brand deal. I'm here to promote you while also you're here to promote me. So it's not going to be hard for an artist, a really amazing shredder, to get a brand deal unless they don't put up videos. If you put up videos regularly, you're going to get a brand deal. It's just a matter of pushing that for a while and being consistent with it.
Yeah, and if you're watching and you're thinking about maybe, how to go about getting an artist endorsement, here's the bottom line. Today, as Asha said, what the companies are looking for is they're looking for people who have what's called ROI, not necessarily return on investment, but return on influence. In other words, what they're looking forward is that, like, when you go out and play, you're constantly posting, or like if you get the products, you're going to do an unboxing video, or you're going to be doing a video about how this has helped you, or in some cases, you're just going to do a video like maybe you came up with some cool riff, and because of the product you're using, it's helped you in some way. So yeah, and the other big thing of it is, like you said, it isn't about who's necessarily the best. It really is about someone who's has built a fan base. The other nice thing for a company, if they know that you've got, for example, you're monetizing your YouTube channel, they know you're already committed to making X amount of videos every single week, and you're incentivized to do that. And again, if a percentage of those can be related to certainly who that endorser is or that company is, that bodes very well for them. So again, the rules have kind of changed today, especially with the explosion of social media. And here's the thing: you can also get brand deals and per platform. Even doesn't necessarily have to be YouTube. You could be on TikTok. You could be on Instagram. And so that's another thing. So what you're saying is exactly true. But what they're looking for is someone who has influence and someone who actually makes great content.
So to expand on that,
yep.
I'm someone who really loves to make content anyway. So before this stuff started happening, these endorsements, I was making content because I liked doing it. But it just so happened that I got these brand deals because of something that I already liked doing.
Yep.
So I think too, as an artist, I've heard some people say, but I don't want to put myself out there because I don't like the way I sound, or I don't like the way I look. And it's like, then you, if you can't put it out there, you won't have a return, so
right.
You do have to kind of swallow your pride and just say, what, I just want to do this because I do. At the end of the day, the artist loves doing music. So if a brand can help support that, or YouTube incentive can help you keep working on your craft, like, that's my goal. That's the goal, I think, of all the artists, is they want to be able to keep doing the thing that they love.
Yeah.
Spread joy doing that to other people. So
absolutely. So with that, Asha, you got to bear with me. Obviously, got to give a shout out to love to our sponsor. That is JBE Guitar Bass Pickups. And a little bit about JBE. For the past 40 years, JBE pickups have been providing the most articulate, responsive pickups available. Every pickup is 100% noise free and never dull or lifeless. It certainly has a remarkable sensitivity to height adjustments. The pickups allow players to tailor their instruments to their needs and playing style. And certainly on this, JBE has their signature dual blade construction. Make sure every note that gets bent, obviously we all love hearing those. Obviously David Gilmour's made that probably as famous as anybody, Pink Floyd. But again, the notes never fall off, and certainly string spacing is never an issue. and certainly they're always soulful and dynamic. Find out why legends like Danny Gatton, Bruce Springsteen, Bonnie Raitt, and Keith Richards choose JBE pickups. If you want to get more information, you can go straight to their website at www.jbepickups.com. And what I'm going to show you really quickly is actually my own story. And I recently, and I'll play a video in a second, but I recently decided to change my pickups after 2005. And that's my guitar there on the right. It's a Zion guitar. And I've played those EMG pickups for, like I said, since 2005. And I recently just changed to the JBEs. And, you know, there you can see right there the dual blade design. And the reason why that I changed those pickups was because I started getting back into playing, you know, the blues rock. And I'll bring that up when I bring on Charlie in just literally a few minutes. But I needed to have a clean tone that didn't sound sterile. Like, I love that guitar from a rocker standpoint. I certainly love those pickups. But what I learned about JBE is you can have the best of both worlds. You can have those really, you know, bell-like chimes or those BB King clean notes when you're playing lead guitar, all the way to shredding like Eddie Van Halen, to Joe Satriani, to Steve Vai, to Vivian Campbell. So, you know, that's all I can say as far as that goes. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and play a quick clip, and then I'm gonna bring Charlie on. So here's a clip. This is actually of me and Charlie Wehde. Charlie invited me to play as a guest just about a month ago, and we had a good time doing it. And here's a little clip of Charlie and I jamming out on a song written by the King called Hound Dog. Here we go. I know, how fun, right? I mean, come on. Charlie's just dancing around, grooving, and I'm just sitting back realizing that for the first time in my life, I'm the actual old blues guy in the house. It's weird because I've played so long and I was always the young guy, and now I'm the old guy. It's kind of funny how that happens. So with that, let's bring on our next guest, and he comes all the way from Missouri in the St. Louis area, and this is going to be really cool. We're going to bring on Charlie Wehde. And Charlie also happens to be a solo artist, a musician, and he's currently at a college in Missouri. He's a theater performing arts major. And Charlie, welcome to the podcast. We're so glad to have you.
It's so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and talk to us a little bit about, you know, I asked Asha the question, you know, what's it like? You know, again, in your case, you know, you're studying the performance, but you're also doing, you know, shows like her. You're doing the acoustic thing, and you're playing 3 to 4 hour shows. And what's that grind kind of like for someone who's still in college at this time?
It's a lot. You know, obviously when school kind of hits, I kind of have to, you know, I got to prioritize sort of what I'm doing at any given point. So a lot of the like 3 and 4 hour shows are replaced with like, you know, I got to use my voice for 10 credit hours and then go to rehearsal for 4 hours a night for whatever musical I'm doing. And I'm still getting my 30 minutes in on guitar. And so it's, you know, it's just a lot of like going back and forth between kind of school mode, gig mode, while still just trying to maintain consistency. But it's a lot of work. But you know, I'm doing what I love. So I try and keep the motivation going. Like Asha was talking about, the motivation is a really, really important thing to keep going, especially when you have such a heavy schedule packed of music and learning music and promoting yourself and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about you playing guitar. We know that, you know, Asha didn't start playing until just a few years ago. Again, acoustic at first. Now she's into electric. And, you know, a little bit right before the broadcast ends, we're going to debut her song, where I'm going to tell you right now, she's got a guitar riff on there that sounds like she's playing through a wall of Marshalls. And I never could have imagined that she does that when you see her videos. That's why I'm so glad that she's now released that video this week. I had a chance to just really listen to it. And of course, being a guitarist myself, I just love how she's really also developed to being a real solid songwriter and having great hooks and certainly the music that she writes with that hard rock edge. So for you, Charlie, tell us a little bit about how you got into playing guitar.
Yeah, I mean, I started kind of the whole theater performing thing when I was 13, 14. And
Okay.
I was doing that for a little bit. And I remember one night I was just on YouTube and I saw a guy sing a song with the ukulele. And I was like, that's really cool. I want to be able to do that. There's not a ukulele in this household. Guitar, I was like, this is pretty cool. C, E minor kind of deal. And so I was trying to, pick that up and learn that. And I just, been doing that since my freshman year of high school. Now I'm a junior in college. So it's been about 6-7 years. And, I just basically have approached the guitar with like sort of passion and just trying to take everything in that I can and work on it pretty consistently. I've now started working on it every day the past 4 or 5 months or so, because as I started leaning into electric playing and sort of more intermediate advanced styles of acoustic playing as well. But yeah, no, it's always been a thing of passion for me and always something I've really enjoyed doing since I started doing it.
Well, I want you to tell our audience a little bit about your musical influences. Obviously, Asha goes back to the 70s.
Oh, I go back too. I'm a
huge here we go. All right.
Yeah, I'm very much interested in kind of how kind of music as like a historical timeline and sort of how things before have shaped things to come. One of my biggest musical influences right now has got to be the Grateful Dead. Anyone who is in my life could tell me that I've been kind of on those guys for 4 or 5 months. I just really admire their approach to creation. They would go and do these shows. They wouldn't have set lists, and they would do 10-minute versions of their songs into another song, back into the song they started with. I think that's really cool. But I mean, their style of playing, it wasn't very flashy. It wasn't very showy. But it was just kind of, we're here and this is the music that we're making with each other. And there's something really cool about that to me. And also, I love all the different influences of all their styles. Like they had a song list of it has to be 150, 200 songs. Like I still haven't heard all of them, but there's, folk songs, there's traditionals, there's blues, there's psychedelic rock, obviously. But within all of those genres, they still have one really distinct sound for all of it. And so it does this really cool thing where you can have this audience, this arena audience of thousands of people, and you can play all these songs from different genres and still make every single person in that arena feel like they're at home and feel like they're in a place that they can enjoy kind of the music that they love. And I think that there's something really cool about that. I also love, in terms of songwriters right now, I really like Tyler Childers. I really love that old country singer-songwriter sound. I'm from a small town in Missouri, so country music has been in my life as long as I've, been able to listen. And I think he's doing a great job at kind of the singer-songwriter thing while also having a really nice acoustic country sound. On the musical theater side, Anais Mitchell is a very excellent folk writer. Her concept album, Hadestown, was turned into a musical. It's my favorite thing ever. I love that musical. It is just amazing. And the music is stellar. I love, in terms of electric guitar influences, Jerry Garcia is what caused me to pick up the electric, but also B.B. King, Stevie Ray Vaughan, some of the blues greats, Eric Clapton, I've been listening to a lot. Jeff Buckley is not a blues great, but I really look up to him on guitar and kind of his artistry and all the different ways he uses the guitar to write songs. And it's also why I like having a Strat and we were talking about pickup tones, having variation in pickup tones as I'm sort of learning how to navigate that instrument. In terms of I listen to music on all sorts of realms. I really like R&B. I love Mac Miller, Frank Ocean. My little sister got me on Giveon. I think he's making some really, really great music right now. Yeah, I mean, I could go on. I get very inspired by a lot of the music that I take in.
So with that, let's set up this next clip because we got a clip of you, and I believe it's going to be of you playing the acoustic. So anything you want to say about that clip? Oh,
yeah. This song I'm playing is called Follow You to Virgie. It's by Tyler Childers. Just a really, really beautifully written song. And I really love getting to play it. And I love that people seem to love that song as much as I do, because it means I get to play it more.
All right. Well, here it is. This is Charlie Wehde playing live.
I can see her.
Very nice.
We had
Very
an
nice.
open mic night. Had so much fun that night just playing. It was like a country jam night. It was a blast.
Well, you sound like you were having a blast.
It really was.
So, Charlie, with that, talk to us a little bit about, you've gotten recently into electric guitar. I know, when I was looking through the time frame, we did 2 shows together. You invited me to sit on a blues set, which was, again, I'm so grateful and thankful. It was so much fun, of course.
The pleasure's all mine. That was a time of life.
But what was really cool is in between those 2 performances, you ended up getting a Strat.
I did.
And then of course, I know you and I would jam multiple times before just playing, obviously out in public. But talk to us a little bit about what it's been like playing the electric, especially the lead guitar, because this next clip has got you playing a little John Mayer.
I was just messing around,
my friend.
I was just messing around on a backing track. I wasn't playing exactly what he plays, but
sure.
A kind of a big inspiration of mine is Jerry Garcia. And what I love about his guitar playing is, when he's stepping up for his solo, it's like whatever because he played something different every night. And whatever it was, it just kind of felt like it came from him, from his musical soul almost. And that's sort of how I've kind of driven my learning of electric. Is it feels like I finally have some sort of physical vessel to kind of solo on and say, this is me, musically. That's been my, that's why I've been so hooked on electric, is it's because it's my primary instrument is voice as a performer, but it's
of course
voice is very, the electric guitar is always going to be the same, and it's always going to feel fun to perform on. So it's been a really great outlet for me to sort of impose my musical ideas into and put my musical soul into. And as I get better, it sounds better, but I'm always playing from the heart, I think.
Of course. So with that, this is Charlie playing on a John Mayer track. And again, I love your tone. Hang on a second. We got a comment. Here we go. Let's see what it is. This is Dave Mobile from Florida. He just joined the broadcast just a little late. Yeah, Dave, we're having a good time right now. We're going to tee up a song by that Charlie covered, playing some John Mayer. So let's go ahead and pull up that video now. Here we go. Very nice.
You taught me that scale, so I just kind of messed around on that.
Well, look, it's one of the most classic scales ever. For those of you, it's called the pentatonic blues minor scale. So many artists have used it. But the thing that I always told Charlie, and the thing that was told to me when I was playing those blues gigs at Buddy Guy Legends and the Beale Streets, those kind of venues, when I would get a chance to talk to those guys, they're like, look, we all have the same scale. It's what you have to say with the scale. And again, you play from your heart, you play in your hands, you play from, whatever's driving you. And all I can say is just to hear you play like that, you can feel, again, what you feel what you're really trying to say. You're not just playing notes for the sake of playing notes in a scale. You're really trying to play music, and that's something I've appreciated, just seeing you grow and develop in this area. So with that, we got a couple more comments. And Dave Mobile says this, my friend. He says, sweet, very smooth. I know, isn't it? I know.
That's this. I mean, I've loved playing the Stratocaster and kind of experimenting with tones on it. I knew nothing about playing electric before I started picking up playing leads kind of stuff. And so now I'm just like, how does this thing work? And because in acoustic, it's you play the string, your sound holes got it covered for you. But it's been awesome to the difference between what kind of tone do I want when I'm playing lead, or I'm singing a song for school and I want to accompany myself on electric guitar. Can I get more of a darker sound with more reverb and get a little bit? It's really cool. It's really cool. I could wax about it all day, but I won't.
Well, Charlie, that's I'm just being very honest. That's why, like you said, now that you got me back, playing with you on some of your sets, that's why I had to change pickups. Because, like I said, I couldn't stand the sterile. I couldn't get the BB King tone. I told you that. So it was more in my, my rocker, shredder type of tone. Like that, obviously, I played already for everybody. But now we're going to have those really beautiful cleans like you were just playing. Because I want to be able to give the audience the palette. I just know the pickups I had wouldn't allow me to do that, which is why I just switched to the JBEs after, I don't know, 18, 19 years. So for that very reason that you talked about. All right, we got a big question. Here it is. So this is for both of you. What is each of your technical approaches to adding new songs to your rapport? Also, why the specific choice of a song? Is it always for the listener, the audience, or to challenge yourself, or a combination? You know what? That is a great question. And Charlie, it is. So Charlie, let's start with you with that.
Yeah. It really depends. I know for theater, I mostly, because I'm like a student in theater, when I'm picking rep for theater, it is mostly on what is going to advance my growth.
Right.
Because that's just, and then, we kind of turn that into when I'm trying to get jobs in theater, what, kind of what skills kind of show off the marketable qualities I have that might get me cast. But it's a lot different in terms of my gigs. I do a lot of requests, and I typically get new songs from not knowing a request, because then I can just add it to a list and then listen to that song and then, try and learn it. Because if I'm going to play at that place again, I want to play what people want to hear.
Absolutely.
Like I never want to be playing a gig where people are like, this isn't the music I like. So a lot of times for like when I'm approaching gigs, I try and like come in with a pretty decent idea of what kind of the vibe I think everyone's going to be listening to. And then I open up requests, and if I don't know the song, I'll listen to it then. So I guess my answer is it's a combination of both, but it, in terms of when I'm doing solo gigs, it is pretty listener, focused, at least my approach to adding new songs to my set list, making set lists in general, or rather just kind of doing it from stream of consciousness, but really trying to tap into what the audience is digging.
Absolutely. Asha, how about you?
Okay, so this is another loaded question. So when I first joined the bands a couple of years ago, all of the bands I joined were party oriented. We would go in and you play all the hits from the 70s, from the 80s, a lot of disco, a lot of 80s pop, rock, a lot of classic rock. So because I knew all those songs vocally, I went and I looked them up on like Ultimate Guitar or whatever once I could learn how to play them. And I was like, oh, can I translate this acoustically? Does this work? Because I agree with you, Charlie, that it does have to be for the audience. I would say it's mostly for the audience and less about you.
Right.
However, you do have to enjoy like it with yourself. You don't want to go too far I personally don't want to go too far off the limits, like, with like somebody that I couldn't cover. Maybe that was like too low for me or something. So I do have to stick with my range. I do have to stick with artists that I know also are in my vocal wheelhouse. So I do that as well. That's a very good question. And then I think also, so Charlie, also maybe you can say something a little bit about this, but like your set list is also determined on your vocal stamina. Like how much can you handle in a night vocally when you have like maybe a lot of hard hitters or some quieter songs. Like most of my songs are hard hitters. There's like maybe 2 or 3 that are very laid back. So does that ever happen for you, Charlie, where like you have to like pace yourself? Like,
well, yeah. I mean, a lot of my sort of education in the theater world has kind of taught me that this thing is a marathon. And so in terms of key selection and sort of, the vocal stylings I'm using, I mean, I would say it is definitely more of a marathon than a sprint. And you don't want to, blow it out on your second hour, and then you've got 2 more hours of singing to do. But I would say more my approach to how I'm singing the material changes rather than the songs I'm doing. I'm a big fan of the capo because we can just kind of put it wherever we want.
Sure.
So that kind of helps me a lot in terms of like, if I'm having more of a gravelly day, I'll just put the capo down a little bit, or so I don't know. I would definitely agree that it's something you have to keep in mind. And it's something you can't forget even while you're performing. And, you're singing a song, you've got a big note coming up, don't want to blow up my voice. So, try and approach it with as much like freedom and like not getting too much excess tension. And that way you've got your voice the rest of the gig.
I want to piggyback off of that real quick with vocal technique, because one of the questions in there was, how do you approach your vocal technique? Mm-hmm. And it's different acoustically as it is opposed to a full band, at least in my experience, or when I'm recording, I have the headphones on and I can hear all the effects and whatever. Acoustically, you do have to, for me, I do have to approach my high notes differently.
Oh, for sure.
And back way off the mic, and maybe if I'm hitting a high note, like strum the guitar harder so that it's like a good mix of your sound. Mm-hmm. And maybe use more of like a nasal resonance just a little bit more to get up to those high notes rather than being so throaty. Mm-hmm. In a band, you can kind of get away with doing that stuff more, but acoustically there is a different technical approach. So
but yeah, when you have to create, I loved hearing you talk about, I was taking notes the whole time. I loved hearing you talk about your approach to crazy Gnarls Barkley CeeLo Green, and how you added the kick and the tambourine to give yourself a bigger soundstage, because when you do create your entire soundstage like that, it's hard to find a balance, especially when I'm working on a Jeff Buckley song right now with the electric, and I'm trying to create a soundstage that lets me kind of, do louder, higher notes and do higher, softer notes and do lower kind of. So it's definitely something that you have to be really cognizant of. And it's on those pieces where it is difficult vocals or it is stuff like that. That's the stuff that I definitely rehearsed beforehand.
Yeah. So that's why I think I said before, when I started just playing acoustic and doing just vocals and guitar, I hated it because I could not be myself. I could not be the true me musically, couldn't come out, because I love to belt it. And the kick adds such a bigger, woofier noise. You need that low end frequency to like hold you up vocally, I feel like. So that's why I like, it feels like it's not quite a full band. It's like in the middle point of a band. So that's why I feel like I can actually express myself the way I want to vocally and hit those high notes really hard and feel okay about it. I'm not straining myself and not compromising myself as like an artist. I don't have to be a quiet little bumblebee artist. When I play guitar, I can be a bigger, still be the same artist that I am on stage with all the other instrumentalists. So that's my approach on it.
Well, here's what I'm going to do. This is going to tie into the next question. And this isn't for me. This is obviously still coming from people that are viewing. This is excellent. So Asha, I'm going to get the clip ready, but talk about, now that you've released, you just released a song called Runaway, and it's something where you actually write the guitar parts. And I know that, you work with other people and you actually record them for production reasons, but still you're writing these big riffs. And as I said on the kind of our teaser or preview show, the sneak peek that we just did a few days ago for this episode, one of the things that we discussed is how you got this massive sound. And the thing that I find most fascinating is that you can sing to a wall of guitars. And I'm talking like big time riff guitars. That is not easy to do for a female vocalist. Yeah. See, Charlie is like, no, it's not
for anyone.
So tee up this clip for us. Because I want to show this clip so that people can see now, hey, these were kind of the cover stuff that you've been doing. This is kind of what you do in your shows. But now as the artist, Asha Blaine, tee up this clip and why this release is so significant now. Both from the lyric standpoint, obviously, because you got something you really want to say with the song, but as well as also the fact is, I mean, it's a heavy sound, and obviously from my background, I absolutely love it, but it doesn't fit like everything else you'd see on YouTube of your channel. I'll just say that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a multiple question. So the whole singing wall to wall to the Marshall Stacks thing, you know, that is just something that I didn't know I could do, that I learned how to do when I started playing in bands. You have to sing over the room. You have to figure out your frequency cutting through the stacks that are near you.
Yeah.
And having a high range does that. You cut through. So I've trained myself to be explosive on those notes, but for me, I'm not afraid to do it. It feels good because it's such an emotional release for me that it's like, I need to do this. It's not like, oh, I can. It's I need to. It feels good too, and I don't know how to be any other way. And then in terms of writing, the guitars that you hear at the beginning are so thick, first of all, in the mix. It's just thick. But I wanted to create this battle war-like feeling. And I knew that was going to come from guitars and drums.
Yep.
So I had to be very intentional when I wrote this. Like, what is the message I'm trying to get across musically? Because it has to match what I'm saying lyrically. It has to match what my soul is saying. So lyrically, the title is called Runaway. In the chorus, it's Runaway. And I'm talking a lot about how I had this past life of being addicted to things, being caught in depression, being smothered in my mind with lies, and how I let that affect my everyday life. Having those kind of sick mentalities make you run to other things. Like I told you before, that you have these coping mechanisms, and it's so hard to get out of because they become your comfort zone. But now I'm in a stage of my life where I am running completely away from that stuff. And it is not by my own doing. It's also by God's grace for me and his strength. He's empowered me to do this. This is something I could not do on my own, like I said, and I couldn't do it before. I was too trapped in my own cyclical behaviors, bad behaviors. And now I'm making a statement with myself and to the world that we have to run away from this stuff because it is a battle. The instruments display that this is a battle and you have to win it. It is already won for us, but we also have to be participants in the battle and win the war. So that is my message.
All right. So this is Runaway by Asha Blaine. Here we go.
Refuge of our Savior, kingdom come, our Savior. We need your refuge, we need your light, we need redemption. Run away, your time is running out, no you can stay here anymore.
Wow. If you all want to hear that song, just go to Asha's YouTube channel. Again, she just released it this week. It's brand new. I've found it fascinating. You've just written this within the past 2 months. It's got a great hook. Again, your vocals, it's just amazing, again, that you can sing against guitars like that. It is so difficult to do. And what I really love is, again, what you have to say, what the song says that you want to say to the world that God has put on your heart. So I just want to say, kudos to you now putting out your own music, which is so different than doing all that cover music that, you do as well. But it's just cool that you get a chance to do both. So with it, we've got a question that for both of you, and Dave Mobile asked this question, and I'll start with you, Asha. How do you choose the musicians that you play with? Or in this case, how do you choose the people you're going in the studio with?
Don't ask me this question.
Hey, hold on. Hang on. I didn't ask the question. This is from These are people who love our show. They're
I
on the
love
show.
this question.
I
love
know
it.
that Dave's asking the question all the way from Florida. So how do you choose, Charlie? You're on deck, but yeah, how do you choose?
I'll play with anyone, honestly. Like, it's, for me, it is kind of like a vessel for human connection.
Sure.
Like, it when I'm playing with someone, I feel connected, and that's like really awesome to me. I know I know we played with me and Guy were playing a set, and this guy named Jeffrey comes up and he compliments our set, and we were like, thanks, man. He was like, I play the harmonica and stuff, and we were like, do you have a harmonica? And he said yes, and we said, get up here. And it was awesome, and like, that is a moment I'll remember for the rest of my life. And so I don't know, I think that's a really cool thing of like, you can always play with them once and then see how it goes. But in terms of like when I asked you to play the gig, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so like into blues music, and
Yeah.
it's not like an outlet that I really get to express myself with as much as I'd like.
Yeah.
But I love the nature of sort of, kind of jammy, solo-y, fun tracks. And
Yeah.
I was like, I want Guy to shred while I play rhythm guitar for all these blues songs I love. And I also, back when I was in high school, I did the same thing with my friend Patrick Klassen, very talented guitarist. We went to high school together, and we would just sit and talk about music all the time. And I was like, why aren't we playing this for people? And so I would have him for an hour or two during my sets, and we would do some stuff that he could solo over, and it was a great time. And so I kind of just choose people that I really vibe with, and we both have a collective love for a certain type of music. And I just love to connect with people that way.
Yeah, and let me just say this, because I had the chance to play with you twice. It was such a joy for me, because I could not believe that I was playing with someone that's in college, blues of all things, and the fact that you still want to keep it alive, and it moves you, and there's something, inside you was such a treat for me to see you. Like the video we played, you're so into it. Of course, I'm so into it as well, but it was so cool that we had something organic just happen live and in the moment.
Yeah, and it's so, like we created that, and that's so cool to me. And when you can, like, with somebody that you care about, like in the moment, like look back and be like, look what we created.
Right.
It's so cool to me, and like seeing it with the Grateful Dead, and like the difference between their shows, and it's like they made that out of thin air, and they couldn't have done it without each other either. Like neither of us could have done that without each other, and that's another thing that's so cool to me.
Yeah. And with that, Asha, how about you? Because you've been kind of in a transition where it's nice that you can literally pick and choose pretty much anyone. Obviously, he's probably in the United States that you could probably get to play in your records now. So how do you choose, the people that you play with today?
Well, first of all, Charlie, I really love your sweet answer and the authenticity that you bring with that, because that is a true thing, that there is a connection that you make with people when you're just free-flowing jamming, and you can't take that away from, there is just a connection there, and that is beautiful. And that's another reason why it's fun to play music, because there's a language that's spoken there that you can't really speak with other people.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is really amazing. How I feel is really opposite of that, and it's because I'm going through this transition.
Right.
I feel very opposite, where I've had experiences where maybe I was too accommodating to somebody else's very good idea, but I also had ideas too that I really wanted to execute, and I found it actually very difficult for me to express that, because I don't want to hurt feelings or hurt an ego, or I guess I wasn't strong enough in myself to say what I wanted to say, because I had no experience with myself as a musician, as a production artist, as an instrumentalist, as someone who composes music. So I didn't really feel like I had a say. Now I'm transitioning to where I'm giving myself the opportunity to connect with myself. with music. So for me, writing for myself is very healing because I get to say everything I want to say without limits, and I can direct myself. How do I want this to sound? I want it to sound like this. So I've definitely had my collaboration days, and I really appreciate that. But now I'm in a season of my life where I love collaborating with myself. So how I choose musicians right now is I basically, my producer helps me find the right fit for like a guitar solo. We have to find the right fit of a guy who maybe sounds like what Zach Wilde or something. So we go and we kind of shop for musicians, and mostly it's just based off of work ethic, them doing and fulfilling the job quickly, and getting the creative style that I would like for my track from them if they can execute that. So it's really more business minded than it is the other side.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it would make sense because you guys are in two completely different stages in your careers, So all I can tell you is, Charlie, when I was your age, I was in a band and we all went to a studio downtown Chicago, and we were a band and we had some people guiding us and helping us, and that's what you do. But I can tell you this, when I did my first CD by myself, it was the same thing like Asha. I literally handpicked every musician that was going to be on it. So everything that was on it was supposed to be on it with me and another guy that wrote, we both wrote, half the music together and we did one cover. But to Ash's point, that's when you kind of do kind of like the a la carte where you're just really looking for specific things. But when I was your age, Charlie, I did exactly the same way that you do it. So yeah, it's just the cycle that we're in. So with that, this is another big question I'd love to ask. And here it is. And Asha, I'd let you kick it off. How do you market or promote your brand in music today in 2023?
Completely by social media. There's just no other way around it. And I'm still learning how to do that. So it's a never ending process with learning it. And there will always be new things that roll out. Like, I'm not even on TikTok yet. I don't even know if I want to be on TikTok, but that wasn't a thing a few years ago. Now it is.
Right.
There's just new evolutions to technology that are coming out that it's like, you have to take advantage of now. That's where you're going to make a lot of your money. That's where you're going to be seen. That's where you're going to, and I used to think this was so selfish. Like, oh, look at those selfish people just like pushing themselves out there. Oh my gosh, it is not selfish. It is selfless because you're putting in so much work.
Yep.
To do the thing you love, and it also makes you better because you have to keep you do have to rise. You do have to maybe compete with yourself a little bit and show, like, you have to be able to serve others with what you're doing, and also ask them, or say to yourself, why do they need me? What would be like, what is the purpose of them needing me? Like, so if you're going to market yourself, I think you also have to have a plan too with what is it that you're trying to say? Like, because there's so many good musicians online. How do you compete
Absolutely
and cut through all of that noise? There's
right.
so many different things, so much talent. And I think too, as an artist, you can feel like, well, I'm not good enough because look at this guy over here. He's amazing, or she's amazing. That doesn't matter. I had to get over that probably 6 months ago and say, like, well, what makes me different?
Right.
What makes me,
yes.
I'm not Ann Wilson. I'm not this or that chick. I'm Asha. What does Asha bring?
Right.
So you have to learn how to die to yourself, die to your ego a little bit, and say, what is it that I can actually give that's serving other people? So pushing that on social media and having a story behind what you're doing is, that's worked for me. So
yeah. And Charlie, how about you? Because you found quite a bit of success promoting yourself with all the gigs you've been getting.
Yeah, I'm actually really, really lucky to have like such a kind of a base kind of back where I live, of just word of mouth spreads and people come to gigs and people talk. So that's honestly been a big part of my success finding work, kind of where I'm located, when I'm back home from school. And so I'm really, really, really grateful for that, having that at home. and my big question has been, okay, how can I sort of expand that to, you know, if I want to start playing gigs here and stuff.
Right.
And I was taking notes the whole time I was like just watching you guys, because I struggle with that a lot, with posting content, because I'm worried what people are going to think of it, or and because it's not good for this reason, and this reason. So I'm trying to get a lot better at navigating kind of my social media pages, because I completely agree with Asha. Like, I didn't even need to send that statement. It's all social media these days. And I'm like aware of kind of the changes and trends and stuff. It's just, I'm not that savvy with actually using it, or knowing how to find a base with it. So that's something I'm trying to get better at in both my theatrical career and in my finding gigs career. But with content now, like that John Mayer clip, I just kind of posted it on my Instagram story. Just kind of like, here's what I've been working on. Here's what I like. Because, you know, they want to see you doing what you love as well.
Of course.
A lot of my great like theater teachers have said about auditioning, which is most of the job, as musicians and actors both know. But you need to walk into any room, or I guess when you're posting a video, you are a solution to someone else's problem. And so, I mean, I guess it's just what I'm working on is trying to get better about, like, the thing that you said, like monthly schedules of gigs, weekly schedules of gigs. That's a great idea. Like, I need to get on that. There's all this stuff I need to get on, but also in terms of posting content, posting stuff I love to do, and also saying, hey, here's me being a solution to all these different kind of problems.
Absolutely. I got a question that came from Dave, and this is a great one. Asha, I think we talked about this a few weeks ago on that podcast, but here it is. Are you ever tempted to sell out? And I believe that context would be, obviously, you know, just doing whatever the venue or the person hiring you wants you to do, you know, and maybe where it even kind of crosses maybe your own faith, or even, you know, perhaps ethics. I mean, you know, take the genre, if you would, where you want to take it. So Asha, we'll start with you. Have you ever been tempted to sell out? And actually,
Yes,
I think you've got a story behind that. So go ahead.
Yes, I do. This is why I have the story that I have now, and why I'm transitioning. I feel so passionately about this. Okay. So yes, I've thought of selling out. I think when you reach a level where a lot of people start to take notice, or they say, you're so talented, you should go on The Voice and do these things. That's really tempting, because what that does for you is it feeds your ego, and it says you're special. You're more special than other people, and you're really not. Hence my story I told earlier that I will not repeat. We are all human beings. We all have a soul that need love, that need compassion, that need grace, and no one is better than the other. No one is less than the other. So to sell out, in my opinion, means that you compromise your values, your ethics.
Yep.
You say yes to things that you wouldn't normally do, just for a shot at success, just for a shot at fame. I will never probably go on The Voice, because they take you and they want to produce you and make music that maybe you don't want to do. They make you sign contracts with people that you don't want to sign with. And I don't really know, but I just imagine that, like, maybe that's where it goes. Like, I see Hollywood, and no, I'm not doing that. So one of the reasons my story right now is that I have to, so much has been given to me in terms of my relationship with God, my faith. I came from a really bad background in a lot of different ways, and I've had to overcome so much. And so much of that overcoming has been from God's grace and compassion on me, and him steering me in the right direction, and me putting my faith in him when it's been really hard. And this is why I have the business that I do. This is why I'm writing music, because now my music is not about me. It is about me in terms of what I've gone through, but it's about me and what I have to resist. And what I'm resisting is selling out. And so it's my determination to make music for people, also to say, like, hey, you don't have to sell out to be proud of yourself and to be the person that God created you to be. I am determined to write music to encourage people to be on track or to have their relationship with God, to trust in him, because I was at a point where I did not trust in God. No way. And I had to start doing that again and praying, and I felt that God was showing me, you have to keep your integrity. You cannot compromise. It doesn't matter what kind of deal you get. So this is why I'm writing music by myself, because I want to be able to be a beacon of light. I want to be able to be someone that shows I will not sell out. And even if I never go play live or open for someone, if I can still create music and just put it on YouTube, I would be happy doing that. As long as you don't let the art escape you, you'll be okay. But you can't let the ego come in and rule you, because then you get stuck. Charlie, you mentioned this, comparing yourself. You shouldn't compare yourself. Yeah. You are special. You are different, but you're not more special. You're not better than anybody else. We're all on the same playing field. It's what you do with what you have right now.
Yeah, Asha, Dave just posted this, and he says the fear of God is the compromise to feel special when it's not natural.
Let me read that. Fear of God is the compromise to feel special when it is not natural.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time processing that right now.
It's basically validating what you just said. And yeah. Here's what Dave says. He says this, Asha, you are in a very good place.
I've got to tell you that one of the reasons I'm a solo artist too, and I didn't want to say anything too harshly about this, but I've seen a lot of musicians become so wrapped up in their ego that it pulled me away from that. I didn't want to be like that. I don't want to be somebody that ever comes across as like, I'm better than you. Based on what? Based on your talent? Maybe I'm more talented, but what does that mean? Does that mean that you're less deserving of something, of grace? So it doesn't matter. I don't have to be like this or that. I can be Asha, and I can be the person that I was created to be with the gifts that I do have. I can acknowledge that I have gifts and I can use them. Yes to that comment. Fearing God is the start to wisdom. We'll just say that.
Exactly. And Charlie, how about you? Because I definitely want to hear it from your perspective. Here you are, a junior in college. Are you ever tempted to sell out, even at this early stage of where you're at?
I don't know. I think that I've always been somebody who is like, okay, well, like, what are my values? And it's like, honesty, love of doing this is kind of what I try and lead with. I love to create music. And I love to, create art with other people. And I always want to treat people with respect, and I want to treat people with kind of the same respect that I would like to be shown. And I feel very, very lucky to be in a environment where I'm learning here at Missouri State, where I feel that we are taught to kind of be ourselves and kind of market who we are and sort of what our values are and what we want out of our careers. Because, Asha kind of touched on the industry a little bit, but, it's hard to find work as an actor. But I don't know. I don't really, I feel like Asha has been through a lot more, that kind of gives her a weight to this question that I don't really feel. But yeah, no, I try and stay true to kind of what I want to do and the kind of person that I want to be. So like, yeah, like I don't, if I'm not comfortable with like the material of a scene, I will, express that and set those boundaries. So I don't know. I feel like I don't fully feel like I understand the question because I haven't been through all the
right.
Lots of but
yeah, and you won't know how to answer it until you've been confronted with it,
I guess so. I just I don't think that I will say I have experienced sort of feeling like, oh, like what if I, you know, say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing? Like, am I going to have my job? And that, you know, that never feels good in any capacity, wherever you're at. But, yeah, no, that's kind of all I've got.
No, again, like Charlie, we see life. We're all in different stages, you know, and I just know that I can relate to that question. Now with my big gig is, you know, being an author and really helping small businesses, solopreneurs, and even advocacy over associations leverage their digital and social media, and so that they can amplify their messages and so they can connect with their audiences. And I just, you know that, you know, in my first book, I have a different mindset than I do today. And really how, you know, I don't want to compromise anything, because at first I was like, couldn't believe that I was asked to do it. Now I'm in a different place of like, okay, you know, I want to do it the right way. And I want to, you know, make sure that there's no compromises to what I even do. So, and you'll see that as again, as you elevate in your career, and you will get asked at some point things that maybe you disagree with. And that's all I'm just going to say on that. And so I think your answer is pure and genuine. And thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. I mean, I think I mean, you know, I mean, we all have, you know, our own values. And I think when it comes to like creation, it's really hard for some people when people in position of power share different values to them.
Right.
That
Yes.
they feel like they have to kind of give up their values to like please someone. And I just kind of am aware that that's a problem that kind of we have societally. You know, it's something I feel like everyone feels throughout their entire life in some way or another. And so it's just, you know, I don't know. I don't really have an answer, but that's all I've got.
That's a great answer. And Dave chimed in and said, Charlie, star true to God created you to be. Exactly.
I got you.
Yeah. So with that, we're kind of getting near the end of the podcast. And what we like to do now, Asha, I understood that you're willing to give something away. We're going to have a little contest. So if you want to get ready to put this in the chat, we're going to ask you a question. Let me get it ready on the screen. And all you have to do is be the first one to respond, and you can win. Asha, tell us about what they're going to win. Show us.
You will be winning.
Hang on. There we go.
This is my first album. I will send it to you for free if you get this answer correctly. And on top of that, I will give you a free t-shirt with my face on it. All I have are mediums, so you can hang it up on your wall or wear it or whatever you want to do with it.
All right, so here is the question. All you need to do is just go ahead and put in the comments the answer, and you will win. Here it is. For you to win an Asha Blaine CD, here's your question. When did Asha begin playing guitar?
Were you listening intently? It's a bit of a trivia question about our whole talk.
Exactly. When did Asha begin playing guitar? And again, if you're the first one to put in the comments, you'll get a free CD and t-shirt. And she might even autograph it.
Oh.
I know, right? Here we go. Let's see if we got it. The answer is, oh, yes, 2021. Winner, chicken dinner.
You win, Thomas.
Thomas Wehde.
My dad's got a free t-shirt and CD.
Yeah.
I know you can send that.
Yeah, Charlie will send you that.
Okay.
And then this is great.
This is one of our problems.
When she was younger, all right? So yeah, nice, Dave. Nice try.
Good job, Dave.
Yeah, Tom, no, you got it. I'm just gonna say you're not gonna be disappointed. I love it. I got it in my car right now. I've been jamming it. I got it last week in preparation for obviously tonight's show. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, especially if you like that, you know, the 80s/90s, you know, hard rock. It's really cool. So with that, all right. So let me pull up this. And first and foremost, I just want to thank my guests. Charlie, I'm serious. Thank you so much. You mean so
Yeah.
much to me. I mean, it's just been great to getting to know you on a totally different level.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's so cool. Yeah, this is awesome. Thanks, Tom. Thank you guys. This has been awesome. Thank you, Tom. And I would agree with you that the money you spent on that Fender Strat may be the greatest investment you ever made. Because Charlie is playing the heck out of it.
Him right there.
I know, right?
Hey,
right?
He told me. I said, so is this like Christmas? And he said, you play it or I'm going to sell it. And I was like, fair enough. Fair enough. That's the promise. So I play it every day. That's the promise I made.
Yeah. So Charlie, again, just thank you so much. And we'll certainly keep everyone posted, Charlie, on any gigs that you got coming up from now through certainly the end of 2023.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, and that. And then Asha, again, a second time I had you on the show now. And it's just been great to hear your story, really unpack more on this musical side and really getting into, how God is really using you today more than ever. And I just so appreciate your vulnerability and so much that, that you've shared again tonight. And again, yeah, Dave says you both are great and certainly stay close to the Lord. And absolutely. So actually, I want to give Charlie, let's go back to you really quick. I want to give you a final word before I wrap up the show. Is there anything else maybe for the good of the podcast that you would like to say?
What do you mean?
You can say anything you want to say to our audience. I mean, you got to remember there'll be quite a few people watching the replays, or anything you want to kind of conclude with being on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, I can't just be like, oh, anything I want. I would say, I don't know. Man, I guess I don't have anything.
Flintstone vitamins.
Yeah, take your
take your vitamins.
My mom makes me take 4 gummies a day.
There we go. All right. So, hey, all right, I'll give you a more narrow question. Okay. Look, we'll play ball. Okay. Here you go. What advice would you have for someone like right now that they could be in high school, they could be in college, or maybe there's someone a little bit older. Maybe they're thinking about kind of like Asha did. She wanted to make a big career move. She did. Later in life, she became, obviously a solo artist and musician. What advice, would you have for people that were watching this podcast that are thinking about maybe, becoming a solo artist or a musician?
I would say my advice is like do it. I mean, do it because you love it, and keep doing it because you love it. Because it's really hard work, and sometimes the ins and outs of doing it, you get stressed, you get tired, your throat hurts, and you're wondering when you're going to get your voice back, and that's really sad. And rejection comes with it, but there's also, just remember why you're doing it, and it's because you love it.
And no,
that's my big thing. Is it's just like even when I'm like as tired as I could be, it's just like at the end of the day, it's like I'm doing this because I love to do it.
Absolutely. And Asha, before you answer that question, look at this. Tom Wade writes, when will Asha be playing in St. Louis? She's an amazing talent. Trust me, Tom, I've been asking the same question as well. We'll figure out a way to get her to the Lou. We call it the Lou here.
Fly me out. I'll come out.
Yeah, we'll figure out a way to get you here. Definitely. It'd be like unbelievable if you guys could do a show together.
All three of us will play.
Oh yeah. Wouldn't that be fun? Exactly. So yeah. So Asha, with that, let's same kind of question. What advice would you have for people that are maybe thinking about, wanting to become a solo artist, a musician, or maybe even someone like you've been sharing about how you've really changed based on your relationship with God and how you're using this, not just for music's sake, but also to some degree for a ministry?
Gosh, I want to answer this in such a bigger way, but I can't. So first, on the musical standpoint, if you're going to pursue this, just know that it is hard at first, but you can't quit. If you love it and you love doing it, there's going to have to be a balance. There's going to be days where you might hate it, or you struggle with maybe what Charlie said, rejection, or you struggle with, one of my biggest things was stage fright. I would get so nervous being in front of people that maybe my performance would be lacking. Like I'd get a dry throat or cotton mouth or whatever because I'm so nervous. Like, push through it, because I've had to push through gigs like that where I'm just thinking so bad of myself because I'm like, I'm not at my fullest capacity. I'm not reaching my fullest potential, and it just makes me so mad. So when you're at that point, you have to sit and talk to yourself and say, why am I so mad? Why am I so worried about what other people think? Because the reason I'm doing music is because I love it. I love the way it makes me feel. I love the way it makes other people feel when I'm relaxed. So there are going to be hard times mentally that you have to push through in order to get to the other side of actually enjoying it, because then you will see your audience enjoy it as well. That was one of my biggest struggles, was the fear of people not approving of me. And it would get in the way of my performance sometimes, but now I just don't care. And so now my performance is much better, much more relaxed. It's more me, whatever. Okay, so same question with the spiritual. Please ask the same question again so I can answer it spiritually.
Yeah. The spiritual aspect is, again, you've made a shift, but your music and your writing has become so intentional. As we talked on the last podcast we did together, this is now, purpose driven. And what advice would you have for people that are maybe struggling with things, and why it's so important to, kind of like you talked about, pick up the cross and begin in that relationship with Jesus, because you're seeing the fruits of that right now and how it's impacted you and how you're sharing that message with others.
Yeah, so I guess I didn't see it as a ministry before, but I guess that's what it is. But my intent with that is I have to pull people in with my business. Okay, that is there. I can't deny that.
Mm-hmm.
However, with that business, I have to be able to help people. And my story is that I went through so much crap before. I'm a single mom. I went through, if you know my story, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I have had to do nothing but push to make sure that my kids are protected, provided for, that I have a job that I appreciate, that I can take ownership with. And God completely gave me this opportunity that I did not see coming. But I did have to step into that. I did have to be obedient to that. And I also want to show people too that, like, I'm not, yes, I'm a Christian, but I'm not just, some, I like to rock and roll too. So there's nothing wrong with that, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think as long as I'm using it for good intention and I'm not selling out and I'm saying, like, hey, you guys, I'm inspired in my lyrics right now to write about how God has saved me.
Yeah.
And I want you to rely on that too.
Yeah.
And if my music can help you, if my music heals me as it heals you as well. And it's all about giving it back to God, because so much has been given to me. That's what I'm leaving people with. If you're going to pursue music and pursue writing, I'm not saying you have to do it like me, but I think just being intentional about what you're saying. And that's what I'm doing, is just, I'm just being very clear and blunt about what I have to say, because it's not about me. It's about helping other people.
Right.
I don't want people to go through what I went through. So
right.
It's about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Dave just posted this while you were talking, and I think it's perfectly timed. It's Proverbs, and he
Amen.
says, yeah, fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. And that's exactly what you're saying. And he follows it up with this, and this is exactly what you were just saying. Obedience to God is proof of faith.
That couldn't be more true, because, man, God has given me so much grace to mess up so many times, to make so many mistakes and to fall flat on my face and to be just a loser, really. But because I put my trust in God, he picked me up and put me in I could cry over this, put me in such a better place because of it. So
yeah,
I have to give it back.
Absolutely. So I want to thank both of you for being on. Just want to let everyone know that the next Zag Talk podcast will actually be next Sunday night at 8:30. And this is going to be the topic. And it's going to be a topic that, again, as I'm beginning to author my third book on digital and social media, this is the topic that everyone's asking about. And that is this. And it's real simple. How do you monetize your media on YouTube? And so this is going to be the topic that I speak on. I'm going to have actually a whole host of guests. They're going to weigh in on this. Everything from even school teachers, even PE teachers have been able to monetize their lessons for students on they're actually getting paid or monetized from YouTube videos that they create for their students. So with that being said, I'm just real excited to let you know that's going to happen next Sunday. So I'm getting back to more of my normal programming. Obviously, the last 2 weeks I've been doing this on special interest stories because I really want people to hear a lot of what, Charlie and Asha, what you two are doing and how you're doing it, and the love and the passion that you have doing this and the impact that you're trying to make. And so I'm just so grateful for both of you. And I would be so amazing if someday we were able to, do a show together. That would be the ultimate, right? Rock out, big guitars. Asha will have to make sure that there's a wall of Marshalls there so that we're right. So we're legit. Speaking of that, Charlie asked me the first time I played with him, he wanted to make sure that I didn't have too big of an amp. He's like, "You didn't bring a stack, did you?"
Yep.
I was like, "No, man, we're playing the blues. Come on, man." Oh, yeah. Tom says this. Yeah, thank you, Guy, Asha, and Charlie. All glory to God. Amen. 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 Yes, Dave. It's all about grace. Yeah, exactly. Charlie, all I can say is you got the best parents in the world. I'm just saying it right now. I'm calling it. I'm speaking it into existence. Of course we do. So with that, all right. So for my guest, Charlie Wehde, for Asha Blaine, my name is Guy Danoff. We want to thank you for watching it all here live tonight on the Zag Talk Podcast Live. Thank you and have a great night. Thanks.